Hey,
Watch my.
Codem family, it's Brad Bowling here, and I'm with Dusty Baker. And Dusty is in our August issue because he has a new book that just came out called Crossroads. Dusty, how are you today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing great, actually.
Good, good, man. It's good to talk to you again. I know that we've had you on the cover of Codem several years ago. And then, of course, you went and won the World Series right after you was on the cover. I'm taking credit, Dusty.
Well,
I'm
go
taking
ahead, man. Hey, what took you so long to put me on the cover?
I don't know, bro. I don't know, but I'm going to say that Codem gave you some good luck for that. But
Hey,
congratulations.
hey, I'll take all you got. All right.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's a fantastic run that you had. And so I want to get into a little bit about the book because I've had a chance to read some excerpts from it. I've had a chance to kind of look at the bio. And then, of course, I've known you because we did research to have you on the cover. You kind of, you won as a player and as a manager. How's that feel?
Well, it feels great. I mean, I feel blessed actually because I didn't think I was going to be playing pro baseball ever. I thought I'd be playing hopefully pro football or basketball because, like, baseball we played because you play it when it's hot
Yes.
and it's seasonal, and I enjoyed it. I was good at it, but I wasn't the best guy that I grew up with, at baseball.
So
And so
what was your best sport?
well, I love basketball.
Okay.
I mean, that's the one I love. I don't know how anybody can't love basketball if you're any good at it.
Okay.
And that Cheech and Chong song, Basketball Jones, when I was a kid. Hey,
Okay.
that, I had it bad. I had it real bad, and it
Wow.
almost cost my career. I was playing with Jerry Manuel. He used to coach the White Sox here in Sacramento. About 2 weeks after I got traded to the Dodgers from the Braves, and
Okay.
I was playing pickup basketball in the gym where I went to high school, and I tore my leg up. And
What?
oh yeah, and I hadn't even hit the field yet with the Dodgers, and it almost cost me my career, but thankfully, um we had a great trainer, that trusted me, and as long as I told him the truth, because he asked me, he goes, well, how'd you hurt it again? And I said, well, I heard it running my dog, and I jumped over this creek bed, and the dog stayed, and I landed. I was trying to simulate the injury, and so the trainer, he asked me, he goes, hey man, did your dog get an assist? And I was like, "Oh Lord, I better fess up." So that's when I
You
told
better
him the
go
truth.
ahead. Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah.
That's interesting, bro. So I want to start with a little bit with the book because what was your inspiration around writing The Crossroads?
My inspiration. I mean, people have been asking me for years to write a book, or people say, "You don't have a book yet." And then I saw, guys like Magic Johnson, like documentaries, and then I watched, Michael Jordan, Barry Sanders, and I was like, man, if I'm going to do something, I better do it, um, before I get too old to remember, or
Okay.
before people just say, "Hey, man, you're some old bitter old man." And and plus, I wanted to leave something for my family, my kids, and my grandkids, because a lot of times they don't really know. We don't really know a whole bunch about our parents or grandparents,
Isn't that
except what
interesting
people,
how that happens?
yeah, except what people tell us.
Yeah.
And see, I wish I had known my grandparents, because my parents, they died before I was born, and on both sides. And so
Okay. Wow.
I never got to not the, got to see the love of grandparents. They talk about how you can go over there and get cookies all the time, or grandma gonna do this and that for you. And I'm so lucky now that I have two grandsons, 4 and 6.
Okay.
And so they're at my house, right now. I'm trying to give them everything that I could, because I'm closer to death than I am to being born. And
You've had an incredible career, Dusty. An
yeah,
incredible.
yeah, and see, my son. People ask me why my son was out on the field when he got rescued at Candlestick, and he was on the field because I just had cancer that winter,
Okay.
and one of the worst things that you can be told is, "Hey, you got cancer." And then the second thing, the worst thing is when, the 3 month checkup, you're always wondering, is it back or not?
Right.
And so that's why I had my son on the field.
Now you have what kind of cancer?
I had prostate cancer.
Okay.
And see, many black men have died of prostate cancer. And the fact that we don't go to the doctor sometime, most of the time, the fact that we don't get screened and see, I found out from my aunties that my grandfather and a few uncles died of prostate cancer. But back then, you nobody really knew. They just said, "Hey, man, you died at an early age," because they died
Right.
in their 40s. And I got prostate cancer at 49, 50. So I was right in line with them, and I was doing PSAs for prostate cancer, for men to go get checked, because
Right.
my dad had prostate cancer. So about 8 years prior to that, so that's why I was doing it for my dad and doing
Right.
it for the men. Had no clue I was doing it for myself.
So did
So
you
like,
find out on accident, or was it just a routine check?
well, yeah, well, the team, once you start uh, getting a order, chronological order of being checked, because mine went from 1 to 2 to 2.5, and then it went up over the winter um, to 4.5.
Okay.
And
Okay.
and the doc said, "Hey, that's a drastic move." And I had a black doctor, Reggie Rector, who told me to come see him. And he says, "Man, I think something's wrong." And he gave me a biopsy, and I was going hunting, and I was like, "What's happening here?" And so he says, "Hey, man, you got to come in before you go duck hunting." I went in, and then that Monday when I came back, that's when he said, "Hey, man, it showed up in four of the different places they took it
No.
from in your prostate,
Yeah.
and then one of them was one or two of them were highly aggressive."
Whoa.
And so, yeah, and so my wife, she had just lost her mother to breast cancer the year before. And my son was 2 years old. And she says, "Honey, we got to take care of this." Because, then they tell you we can either operate on you, we can give you the seeds of radiation, or we can wait and see. And I
Okay.
like, wait and see for what? To
Right.
see if it's gonna grow. So I took care of it, right there on the spot.
Yeah, James Pickens. We had James Pickens, I want to say a couple months ago. He just recovered from prostate cancer. He's doing great.
That's
No
wonderful.
longer symptomatic. He's cancer free.
Great.
He lost about 30 pounds as a result. Just,
Yeah.
started working out, eating better, better
Yeah.
choice in food. And he's doing great. So, man, I'm glad
Well, the
that you
same with
are doing
me.
great as well.
The same me. I mean, you get a warning. A
Yes.
lot of people don't get that warning. And so, if you get a warning, you have to adhere to that warning, or else you're being a fool, or else you're like, going against God because he gave you the warning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes. So you're blessed, bro, in several areas.
Oh, yes,
Um,
I am.
all right,
Yes,
so
I
I
am.
gotta dig into this book a little bit, bro, because
Yeah.
I saw where your dad did not want you to play baseball, but you got drafted. You went on ahead and played against his wishes. What was that
Right.
about?
Well, it's not that he didn't want me to play baseball.
Okay,
He just wanted me to go to college first and then maybe go play baseball.
okay,
And my mother and father had just gotten divorced my senior year of high school, and I'm the oldest of five.
wow,
And so, my dad's extra 300 a month apartment, when him and my mom separated, my mom got the house, and I was the oldest. My mom was in school at the time. My younger brother was going to be in college, 2 years after that. And then 3 years after that, my sister's going to be in college. So potentially, our family's going to have three or four people in college at the same time. And, all on grants and aids. And so, I said my prayers the night before. The Braves sent me down to LA to work out with the Braves, and Hank Aaron was in charge of taking care of me. And so what happened was uh, I didn't know what to do, and I was at a crossroads. Because then, if you were a pro in one sport, you were a pro in every sport.
wow,
And
okay,
see, yeah, and see, that was a major move because I was potentially giving up everything,
yeah,
and that was the Jim Thorpe law that if you were pro in one sport, you were a pro in every sport. So I prayed on it, and something told me to go ahead and do it. And then, well, the Lord did. And so Hank Aaron promised my mom that he would take care of me. And then I went away. I came home, packed a bag, went to Austin, Texas, and then called back on the phone with the coach to my dad. And my dad said, "No, I don't want to talk to him." He goes, "Son, if you're not man enough to tell me what you did, then don't put some stranger on the phone."
Wow.
And so when I came back home, uh, I had to go to school because Vietnam was hot. So you had to, carry 18, you had to carry 15 units per semester, no D's, F's, incompletes, or nothing, or anything else. You were drafted. And
Okay.
so I got served to be in court, uh, me and my mom and our lawyer against my dad and his lawyer, and they couldn't nullify the contract. But what they did, they invoked the Jackie Coogan child prodigy law, which named the state of California my trustee
Guardian.
over my affairs.
Okay.
Yeah, until I was 21 years old.
Okay.
And so that whole time, me and my dad didn't speak. Oh
What?
no, I'm sorry, I didn't speak. Okay, I dropped my brothers and sisters off at my dad's house. I was pissed off, man. I'm 18. I can do what I want. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
old famous speech. And so, um, and then my money, I'll start watching my money at the state of California, invested it in IBM stock and in Standard Oil of California, which is now Chevron. So here I was, 18 to 21, watching the stock market every day, my little pennies, and my money almost tripled. And during that period of time, and then I realized that my dad wasn't trying to hurt me, and he was really trying to help me. And so finally, when I went over and dropped my brothers off again at my dad's house, and I said, Dad, I asked him, I said, man, you kind of hurt me when you did this or that. And he goes, son, you don't know what hurt is when you drop your brothers and sisters off for 3 years and don't even come inside to see how I am or how I'm doing. And my dad never missed not any of my games. My dad worked two jobs for 36 years.
Wow.
And so, but that's the first time, like back in them days, dudes didn't tell you, men didn't show hurt, or
Right.
I never saw my dad
Emotion.
cry.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Say I love
yeah.
you,
Oh, I love you. My dad told me he loved me at 30 when I was 35.
bro. I understand.
Dude,
Uh,
I didn't know what to say. I like, uh, me too. Just went on about my business.
yeah. Yeah. But the crazy thing though, Dusty, is that
Yeah.
even though they didn't say it, I felt
Oh,
it. You
oh,
felt
I
it.
knew it. I
Yeah.
knew it. I mean, because I never wanted. Well, there are a lot of things that I wanted, but I always had everything that I needed.
Yes.
I didn't have everything that I wanted, but I
Right.
definitely, and my dad went out of the way to give me everything I needed. Just like when he scraped up that $125 to send me to the Squaw Valley Warriors basketball camp. And that's where I met Al Addles and played basketball against Rick Barry. And I was 16 years old. And
Man,
then
you
I
had
got,
bro
oh yeah, and then I got the MVP of the camp. So I just knew
hot
I was
stuff.
on my way. Oh yeah.
So help me understand. If your path was basketball, how in the world did you end up playing baseball?
Well, I was good at baseball, but
Understand?
I was better at the other stuff. Now, some things you do because of pure economics.
I understand. Woo.
It was all about money and taking care of my mom and dad, and even though later I would really take care of my dad because he had dementia for like 2 years, and I was thankful and grateful that I was playing baseball.
Right now, were there
But
no? So if you went basketball route, you would have had to go to college, then
right,
get drafted. But baseball can
yeah.
draft you straight to the
Well,
league,
but
right?
that was no problem. I was ready to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated. That's where I thought I was going.
Okay.
You know what I
Okay.
mean?
All right.
And
Okay.
then Hank Aaron told me, he goes, "Look, son, if you have enough confidence in yourself to be in the big leagues by the time your class would have graduated from college, then you go ahead and sign. And if not, then you go to college.
Yes.
But you go to college in the off season, which I had to promise my mom, and the Braves were paying for my college, which is about the only thing that I didn't keep my word on with my mom. Was I didn't graduate, but I went to go play winter ball and make money and send money home while all of them went to school. And so that's the only, and one of the things I'm most proud of now is the fact that my daughter and son, you know, are college graduates.
But Dusty, you
And,
came from a time where the older siblings made decisions for the entire family, and you sacrificed money to help the
yeah,
family. My dad did the same thing. He has
yeah,
11 brothers and sisters, and he
hmm,
worked to send money back home to
correct.
support the overall mission of the entire family. So you came from that era.
Right, exactly. I mean, that's what you did.
Yes,
You
right,
know, I mean, you
right,
didn't think about it. You know, it's like, hey, man, and then you set up. Well, once you get to a certain prowess in your life, or a certain point, then you start setting up. You know, your nieces and nephews, and with the 529 plans. So
right,
they can go to college because
right,
see, a lot of people say, hey, man, why do black people share their money, or how come uh, we blow all the money or whatever. Well, what people don't understand is that we're first generation money. Most of us, you might be the first person or somebody or in your family to have some money, and then you got to help, your cousins, aunties, a few homeboys. There's quite a few people depending on us. And so you just accept that responsibility, and the Lord keeps blessing you the more you bless other people, because I'm afraid not to give at this point, and I'm trying to tie to the church like I'm supposed to. I give money, but 10%, you know
that's
what
a
I mean?
lot,
And
bro.
yeah, so well, but that's what it says. And see, I had a couple of players. They signed. I'm not gonna mention their name, but they signed big money, and
Okay,
they were Latter Day Saints. They were Mormons.
okay,
And I asked one of them. I said, "Man, you really give 10%?" He signed for like 300 million.
yes,
And then I started figuring. I said, "That's $30 million." And he said that that's what he did. And I'm
wow,
like, man, man, that's what you're supposed to do.
that's beautiful. That is
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful, Rusty. So Dusty, okay, so started your baseball career, traded to the Dodgers. What led you into management?
Uh, Separation and divorce. Same thing led me into baseball the first time.
Really?
Yeah, and I was getting divorced at the end of my career. Things were economically bad. The IRS was on my butt, and all of a sudden I was out there by myself. And I said, and Al Rosen is the one. I went to Dallas with Frank Robinson, Hank Aaron, Kurt Flood, Don Baylor. We went there to try to Bobby Toller and Ralph Gard. We went there to try to get other brothers in the game or out of the game, jobs back in baseball,
Right.
which is the same problem. Or it might be worse now than it was then. And so we were there at the winter meeting, and because when the guys got out of the game, there were no PR jobs, and unless you were first base coach or batting coach. Those were the jobs that were available to us when we left the game.
Okay.
And so we went there to try to get some brothers some jobs, and now Rosen said, "Hey, man, I want to talk to you." I said, "About what?" He says, "I want to talk to you about coaching." I said, "I'm not here for me, and I don't want to coach. That's the last thing I wanted to do." And so he said, "Just hear me out." And so I listened to him, and then I went to Big Bear, me and my brother and our daughters, and I asked my dad, "So what do I do?" He said, "Go to the mountaintop and pray on the decision." So I went up there, and I played for the Giants 1 year in '84, and I'm checking in line, and this somebody taps me on the shoulder, and I turn around, and it's the owner of the Giants, Bob Lurie.
Okay.
And so he says, "Man, you need to come join us." And I'm like, "Really?" So I went back to the phone, and I said, "Dad," I said, I went up here to look for a sign. You think that's a sign when the owner of the Giants is tapping me on the shoulder, and that's the same place where Al Rosen is?" He goes, "Boy," he says, "if that's not a sign, you just don't want to see it." He said, "You better listen to what the Lord is telling you." And so I decided I was coming back. I wanted back in Northern California. It was like it was perfect for a bad, terrible situation.
Okay.
And I said, "Okay." And he asked me, he said, "What job would you like in baseball?" I said, "Well, I'd like to be your assistant GM, because someday if I was going to be, I wanted to be a GM because I tell him I give orders better than I take them, you know. So he told me, he says, hey man, he
I'm
says, well,
still
I
in
think
that,
you,
bro. I'm still in that. I give
yeah,
orders better than I take.
yeah.
Okay, all right. I had to. I got to put that. I'm okay. Thank you.
I'm just telling you how it is, man. Okay,
Hey,
so
bro. I love that.
yeah, and so he says, well, I think you'd be better suited for the field. So I said, the field. I mean, when you tell a brother that he's supposed to be in the field, I looked at him kind of crazy. He goes, "Oh, I don't mean it like that." He goes, "I think you'd be a great field manager." And I said, "Okay, well, say that then."
Right,
And
right,
so
right.
and so he said, "Well, first, I want you to coach, and it's going to take 5 years, to get the player out of you, and 5 years and one day from the time that I was hired, I was hired as a manager. 5 years and
Wow,
one day,
wow.
and
Was he right? Did it take you 5 years to get the player out of you?
I didn't think so, but he was going. He thought he was right, and he's the boss, so it don't matter what you thought.
But
You
what
know
does
what I
that
mean?
even
And
look like?
so,
What does that mean? Get the player out of you?
well, because you know, you're a different person as a coach as you were a player,
Okay,
and you look at things differently. I mean, you look at the game differently. You look at instruction differently. But uh, fortunately, I mean, I I was in San Francisco, so I had two guys that I could really lean on. Well, first I had Jim Gilliam with the Dodgers, and then he died in '78. We were going to the World Series, one of the best coaches I ever had. And then when I got to San Francisco as a coach, I had Al Addles, who I went to the camp, and I met him at 17. And
okay.
so Al was on the Warriors, and Bill Walsh was on the 49ers, and Bill had taken a liking to me. When he were having all these conferences, he had like Herm Winningham there. He had Lovey Smith there to try to get brothers jobs in football because head coaching job, not
Yes,
just
sir.
defensive coordinators or offense
Yes.
coordinators,
Right.
but head coaching job. And so I was the only baseball player that he invited me to these conferences,
Okay.
and then he would send for me to come to his house, and he gave me all his he gave me all his notes and everything, and how he started the 49ers. And see, this is one of my favorite plates that I keep on my desk.
Raise it up a little higher. There it is. Just a little higher.
Yeah,
There you go. Okay.
yep, and
Wow.
seeing this. That at his final, that was his last supper before he died, and he had Joe.
Oh, wow.
Oh yeah, had Joe Montana, me, Dwight Clark, Bill Ring, and Eric Wright, and Eric's one of
Damn.
my best partners, and so that was the Last Supper. But he taught me a lot about
Right.
he well he put me on the advanced course as far as being a manager.
Yes, sir.
And what he did also was to reinforce most of the things that I thought were right, but you don't have a clue if you're right or not until later. A lot of
Right.
times,
Right.
it's like raising your kid. You don't know if you did it right or not until he's 25 or 30 years old. You know what I
Correct.
mean?
Yeah.
So,
I say you don't know if you raised your kids right until you see your kids raise kids. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because
I
I
got
don't
you.
think they
Yeah, yeah,
understand
that
what you
makes
did
sense.
for them. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, so you as a manager, Dusty, and people, I've had a chance to interview heads of state, entertainers, politicians, a little bit of everybody, but I've been doing this since I was 16. And
wow,
so when people say, who are some of your favorite people that you've interviewed? I
yeah,
mentioned Dusty Baker. Do you know why I mentioned you?
mm-mm.
Because Dusty, you are probably the freest person I've ever met. Out of
Yeah,
all people who've accomplished a lot in life,
yeah,
you're free. And I want to just tell you what I mean when I say you're free. You're free of judgment. You're free of worrying about what people think of you. You're free of worrying about status quo. You're free of worrying about the pressure. You do what you want. You say what you want. You live how you want. You are free, my brother.
well,
How
I'm
can
free
we all
most of
get
the
to
time.
be free like you?
Well, but I'm free most of the time. I'm not, I mean, we all gotta serve somebody. You know
Understand.
what I mean?
I do. I do.
Yeah. But but the thing about it is, in order to be free, you have to like be willing to take chances, and you have to be confident, and you have to realize that uh, most of your decisions are not yours. And it took me a long time to get to that point because
Okay.
see, well, because I was a great planner. I can plan anything. And I thought I had the Midas touch until I got knocked down and realized that, hey, man, it ain't coming from me. Okay. It's coming from the Lord.
Okay.
But it took me, I was always there, but, you know, Dusty really trusted Dusty. You understand what I'm saying?
I do. Dustin, you don't understand how much I understand what you're saying. I
Yeah,
do.
yeah. 'Cause they asked me, who do you trust the most? Dusty. You know what I'm
Okay.
saying?
Yes.
But I've learned over time that Dusty ain't really in charge of nothing because all the decisions that have been made for me, and I accepted them, were the best things that could have happened to me, including when I first started to go to the Braves. I didn't want
Right.
to. The night before the draft, I prayed that I wouldn't go. I wouldn't get drafted by the Atlanta Braves because I didn't want to go to the South.
Okay.
And they were having race riots, and you watching George Wallace and Lester Maddox on TV, and fire hoses and stuff. And next thing I know, I'm drafted by the Atlanta Braves, and I'm like, Lord, you didn't hear me. And but I didn't know my relationship was going to be with Hank Aaron or Jesse Jackson or Maynard Jackson or the Honorable Andrew Young. I mean, here I was at a young age with Hank Aaron and Ralph Garr almost every day. With Ted Abernathy was some of the best and most famous civic leaders of our time, and I was right up my mom's alley, being a Black Studies teacher. You
Wow.
know, I mean, that was like right up her alley, so
Living legends. I mean, you were literally surrounded by some of Black America's best people. And I'm gonna tell you, it just sounds like your life was very. You were just blessed to be at the right place at the right time, and then
yes,
you
so.
had incredible people who said, "I will help you. I
Oh
will
yeah,
help."
but something is how something. I think my parents raising us to be respectful to to other people was conducive for a lot of people to reach out to us. And like I
Okay.
said, I was with Ralph Garr almost every day, and and Ralph was even more um, respectful than I was, being from the South.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And it was a situation where we always had a mama in every town we were in.
Okay.
I mean, some older Black lady would cook for us, or we always had some dudes that would take us fishing. And I was like, man, um, I couldn't have been surrounded by a greater, bunch of people uh, in my life. And I don't even think my mother and father knew how safe I was, really,
Wow.
because they weren't with me. And here I was, 18, 19 years old, gone for months at a time. And it wasn't no cell phones. You had to go to the payphone and drop some quarters, or you had to like call collect, but you couldn't call collect too much because they weren't gonna take the call. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Right.
And so it was just, like it was, like we went to the laundromat, we had to do our own laundry. And I told my wife, because my boy was in college, and I said, give him some quarters, let him go down to the laundromat. And shit, oh, she had a fit. And so,
You trying to teach him something, like trying to learn him something. She's like, no, no.
oh no, no, I'm gonna go over and wash his clothes up. Girl, you better leave them clothes alone, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Right. Right. Well, brother, that is fantastic. And I love the conversation we're having. And I'm going to tell our audience, if you like this, you're going to love the book because everything we're talking about is in the book. Incredible career, incredible life, incredible journey, surrounded by amazing people, Dusty. Um, what is going on now? What are you doing now? You're
uh
retired. Congratulations. What are
yeah,
you doing
I'm
with your
kind of
time now?
retired. Yeah, I mean I'm a grape grower and winemaker.
Really?
Baker family, yeah, a Baker family wine. That's why I got this on. I got to go back out and trim some wine. I'm a senior consultant with the Giants,
Okay.
uh, which I don't kind of know what I'm consulting about sometimes, but
Okay.
I'm a senior consultant. I try to help. A lot of dudes call me. Hey man, what do I do in this situation or whatnot? And
Yes.
I know I can feel I'm getting older, and I'm feeling like, hey man, maybe I'm might be where Bill Walsh was at the time when I needed him,
Wow.
and Al Addles. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And it's like, whoa, I guess I'm a senior now, and
But there aren't many blacks playing baseball anymore. What is going on with that?
well, Well, number one, it's too expensive. They've made it so expensive that you got to be on a travel ball team to have a they say true competition. I remember I used to call back home and ask my wife when I was gone. Like they called me from Omaha, from Florida, from Atlanta, Cooperstown. I said, "What's going on, man? There ain't no local baseball." And they say it's turned into a big, big business
Travel
for
baseball.
these amateur, yeah, travel
Yes.
baseball. And
Yes.
and and what happens if you got a couple boys or three boys at home? Somebody ain't gonna play because you can't afford that $3,000 to $5,000 or more for your
Yeah.
son to play baseball.
Right. Right.
You
Going to
know,
Cooperstown for a whole summer in the summer league, and then I don't know why we're not getting recruited from regular baseball teams. Why does it have to be? Because my I had two daughters play JO volleyball, and it was to the point where they don't even look at your high school team. They only want to know what you did in JO.
really,
So I think baseball is kind of the same way, where if you're not on a good
yeah,
summer team,
right.
are they looking
Nobody's
at the
even
high
there to
school
see
team
you.
anymore?
No, no, I don't know because all I know is that it's made them a bit lazy because they can go to one perfect game and see 1,000 kids versus they're not shaking the bushes anymore like they used to. They used to call it
Yes,
shaking the
yes,
bushes,
right.
or like Billy Williams told me that yeah, when they came to see Ernie Banks play, they came to see Ernie, but they went home talking about him. He says,
Right.
and and that's what used to happen
That is
with
what
the
used to happen.
scouts.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean they go there to see you, and then they go home talking about me.
Yes.
They're
Yes.
like, dang, who is that? Who is that kid? Because they weren't there to see me. They hadn't
Right.
even heard about me.
Right.
But
Right.
now that's kind of gone by the wayside. And I'm hoping that you know I'm hoping they don't cut this draft down. They're trying to cut it down from they had like 50 before. They cut it down to 20, and now they're gonna try to cut it down to 12. That's not gonna do anything but hurt us even more.
Right. Right.
Because they're forcing kids to go to college in order to get into pro ball, but everybody's not a college student. Everybody don't want to go to college. I mean, some guys need to have a craft. I
Right.
mean, some guys need to be a plumber or electrician or whatever
Yes.
it is that to do something. So
Yes.
um, I'm just hoping that things get better. And my godson, Delvin Matthews, Gary Matthews' son,
Okay.
Jerry Manuel, and they're running the Jackie Robinson um, uh, um, uh, at Vero Beach, and they
Okay.
bring in all these young brothers from all over, and you can't tell me that here in the next 3 or 4 years, Tony Riggins is in charge.
Okay.
That there should be a
Some
great
I see some
influx.
product coming out of that, huh?
Yeah, yeah, exactly, because see, you just don't forget how to play,
Okay.
and once you fall in love with the game. Because see, before basketball and football was taking them because they were paying, and you get a full scholarship, and your mama don't have to come up with the partial scholarship. I mean that was another reason, because it's about economics,
Wow.
and now the way baseball's playing, sometimes you wonder, do they really want us there? Because that's economic freedom to a whole bunch of new brothers coming up, and I
Correct.
and
Correct.
and
Yeah,
not to
it's really
sound
interesting what's
political.
going on with NIL and how it
Hmm.
was okay, but now all of a sudden, they're questioning NIL because there's so many people making money When before I could have been a star athlete playing college football, but it didn't equate to a life of money because I never got to the NFL. But now NIL, I'm leaving college with money. Some
Right.
people don't like that, but it's
Yeah.
okay for a gymnast at 14 to go to the
Mhm.
Olympics. It's okay
True.
for a tennis player of 16 to be in Wimbledon. So it's just very weird how when it's us, the rules are sometimes in question. So that's a whole nother podcast, though.
Most of the time, they're a question.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, brother, I appreciate the half an hour with you. I know we ran over. We're
Yeah.
going to put the link to the where you can buy your book Crossroads into the bio of the podcast. And Dusty,
Yes.
man, it's just good to talk to you again. Good to see you. Hopefully, I get to see you again soon.
Yeah.
And we'll appreciate you for coming on to the Coding podcast.
All right, man. You got it going on too, you know.
I
I'm
appreciate it,
proud of you.
bro. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
All right, man.